Hello and welcome to another video where I talk over Stardew Valley, and today I wanted to talk about just be yourself. Now, I saw this flyer one day recently, and one of the things in there was like, oh, we always accept people just the way they are. And then I thought to myself, do you really though? Because people on the spectrum and other types of neurodivergency, we tend to mask. Some of us even mask when we're just home alone, because part of us feels like we need to behave a certain way and not certain other ways. And I wonder what even an unmasked version of myself looks like, because I was raised in a fairly judgmental household, so a lot of that judgment also like nestled itself in my brain, and I have a lot of things that I have to unlearn and stuff like that. But also it made me behave in certain fairly rigid manners in order to meet some type of standard that was first of all never really explained, but you had to just kind of guess. Now I know that people on the spectrum tend to have to guess anyway, because people don't tend to explain things to them. Certain things are just expected to be understood without being pronounced. But my family is pretty extreme. Like, they would get upset with you if you didn't understand how to do a certain thing because nobody had ever told you how to do it. But if you wanted them to tell you how to do it, they kind of didn't want to do that either. So that's kind of weird. Anyway, so imagine if we stop masking, and that means also we stop filtering the things that we say and think, and we stop like trying to suppress stimming behaviors and stuff like that. Like, of course, there's a bunch of people that say that you shouldn't have to suppress these things. But if you're like in the workforce and stuff like that, there are limits to what you can do. Like, if you really like me as I am, would you accept me like that? Because I don't think so. The reason why people accept, I guess, that I'm there, because there's also people that don't even accept that version, is because I'm trying to behave in a way that is socially acceptable. Now, I don't think I would be hugely socially unacceptable if I stopped masking, but just more to myself, more unfiltered, definitely more direct. I think I would talk more, and that's kind of funny because a lot of times people think I'm too quiet, but it's mostly because I'm biting my tongue, so you're welcome. And that's just me being unfiltered. Imagine if other people also didn't like adjust their behavior to the environment that they're in. Would we still accept them the way they were? Because the way that they think they're accepting people who are different, I think is more of an idealized version. And it has a lot more to do with how they feel, like how that makes them a good person to accept somebody else the way they are, supposedly, than with the other person feeling like they can be themselves. And it kind of like also goes back to a couple of videos ago where I was talking about the people that are people like me persons. Not people like me, but people, you know how there's people that are like people pleasers and they're like people persons. People like to think that they're accepting of all sorts of other types of people, but actually they really only accept the people that are like them, and those are the people like me people. And those are also the people that like to think that they're very accepting of others who are different, but it's only really accepted to the degree where they kind of expect that they can handle the difference. Like with the unfilteredness, there's quite a few people out there that do not want you to tell them exactly what it is that you're thinking, particularly if it's something that they're doing wrong and you're like, I can help you with that. They don't really want to hear it. Like a lot of times you'll have somebody who is constantly running into the same issue, and you just know that if they were to do things slightly differently, that it would be a lot better for them. This, like, just a quick example, this is not something that's happening right now, but say that you have a friend who has a relationship with this person, and they're obviously not good for each other, but for whatever reason, instead of like breaking up with them, this person, your friend, comes up to you all the time and starts complaining about what went wrong this time, and you have to bite your tongue because you know that if you tell them, you know, like, maybe you guys aren't good for each other, then there's a whole list of excuses that comes after that, and then ultimately they just go back to their relationship partner and they suffer through it some more. And I'm not really talking about like actual physical violence, but more like just characters clashing, just that neither of them are actually going to be happy together because there's just something that's keeping them together, and it's not the fact that they gel so well, it's more like maybe convenience or something. I don't know what the issue may be, but anyway, so you have situations like that where people have these issues where you know what the problem is like a mile away, but you can't say it because that would be considered too direct and too rude and stuff like that. Now imagine if people stopped filtering and they just kept telling people all these things that they notice about each other, and in a helpful manner, at least from what our perspective is, a helpful manner. Just tell them straight up what the issue is. Would they still accept this with open arms then? I don't know, because people tend to really like their problems for some reason. That's something I've noticed and learned over the years. They really, really hate when you try to solve their problems, because that's something, I guess, kind of like a comfort blanket almost. And that sounds weird to some people, like, oh, why would I like to hang on to problems? Problems are problems for a reason. Well, the thing is, it's kind of like the difference between the hell you know and the hell you don't know, like how people stay in a certain situation because they don't know what the alternative is, and that's somehow scarier or worse than where they are right now. So they hang on to that problem with all their might because they know how to deal with it, maybe. Maybe that's what it is. Anyways, they don't want other people to touch their pet problems because that's their problem and you should mind your own business and all that sort of thing. So if we were to not mask anymore, if we were to just say what we felt, if we were to do what we felt like doing, stim whenever we felt the need to, all of that, I think that article would have been written slightly differently. And the people who like to think that they would be these amazing accepting individuals that accept people for however they are, while also commenting on how weird the neighbor is behaving and stuff like that, they would get a bit of a reality check, and I don't think it would be a good one. Now, I'm not suggesting that you do go completely unfiltered starting tomorrow, because that does tend to have a bit of a negative effect overall. At least I haven't found it to be super positive, maybe only around people that are similar, that understand it, but around people who aren't quite like that, I think it's best to keep the mask on, at least to some degree. But I just felt like talking about that and sharing it with you. If you want to leave a comment about your ideas about that as well, that would be great. I'd love to hear from you guys. In any case, thanks for watching, and bye-bye for now.